How's it going, guys? It's a final render here, and welcome back to another video taking place inside nukaworld. As you guys know, nukaworld only has one settlement in there by default, so I added a new one in the last video, and for this video, we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be taking one of the iconic worlds inside nukaworld, and we're going to give it a settlement so that we can actually go to expand nukaworld to beyond what it was originally intended to do. So, with that being said, let's jump straight into this video and see what happens. So in this video of Fallout 4 building with mods, we are going to be going onto the outer solar system in the galactic zone to bring the Robco Battlezone into a usable settlement. The Robco Battlezone is an area inside the galactic zone and features hard-hitting fighting battle bots. And as you guys know, I like the robots in Fallout 4. In fact, I really like the robots in Fallout 4. And I do like the idea of having battle arenas. However, that being said, I have built battle arenas twice in building with mods, once for the Wasteland Workshop and once for Automatron. So whilst it was very tempting to do it again for this video, now we've got this huge arena, we are going to be tackling one of the most highly requested venues that has ever been requested on the channel. We are going to be turning this place into a music rock venue, so that people of the Commonwealth can come to nukaworld and check out some of their favourite post-apocalyptic bands. Whilst I don't know if there's actually that many, there's at least one in nukaworld on the radio, so how about we jump straight in to the Robco Battlezone. So in order to turn the Robco Battlezone into a usable build area, we are going to be jumping straight into the creation kit. And in order to make a nice place that is suitable for an episode of Fallout 4 building with mods, we are going to have to do an awful lot of repair work. This place is actually a huge dump. It doesn't look it when you first walk in, but when you actually start to look at all the broken wall panels, all the broken light fixtures, all the rubbish that's everywhere, this place is actually one of the biggest dumps I have ever had to fix up. In fact, most of the video production time of this episode went purely into repairing this place so that it actually looks nice as opposed to a broken down post-apocalyptic venue. Whilst that's lore friendly, we don't do lore friendly on Fallout 4 building with mods. We make everything clean and we make it look glorious. The only problem, which I don't really like about this build, is that they don't have the material assets to actually make the wall textures clean. They've still got little bits of grime and rust on them, but you know what? It does still fit, because whilst I said I'm not too big on the idea of having places broken, if it's just a little bit decrepit, I can cope with that, because there actually are venues in real life which are still a little bit decrepit, even though they're still open to the public. So that's what we have done here, and the only real change is that I've made some of the objects scrappable and added a workshop. So now that that's done, this is actually the place fully restored and ready to go. As you can see, it actually doesn't look too different in terms of the aesthetic of the place, but you realise there actually is much more open space once you get rid of all the broken assets of this venue, because there's just so much clutter and so much litter on the floor, it actually feels a bit small. But now we've gotten rid of that, you can see this was an absolutely huge venue before the bombs fell. This place would have been packed full, non-stop of people watching robot battles. But that being said, those days are now over. We are going to be converting this place into a music venue, seeing as we've got all the perfect seating and we have actually got a pretty awesome spectator area. So let's go. I actually did make the protective glass in the arena actually scrappable now, so you can get rid of that. And using Fallout Pool Party, we're going to have some concrete stairs going inside to the arena, and we're also going to have Lightbox floor and ceiling pieces to make a kind of dance floor-esque aesthetic. I actually did do this in my Vault 111 video, where I had a disco floor built entirely out of light boxes using this mod, and it does work quite well when you start to actually have an entire floor there. As long as you can actually kind of make it level with wherever you're going to be walking, then it does work really well. And you do have to put a lot of effort into wiring them all up, unfortunately, and it does hit the frame rate, but it's actually not too big a display in this one. But overall, I really like this aesthetic I'm going for. And using some more assets from the Settlement Objects expansion pack, which actually is now my new favourite mod. It was OC Decorator, but now there are just so many usable assets in this mod. It is now my new favourite, so I very highly recommend you go ahead and grab that mod no matter what system you're on. Once that's done, we are going to be putting up an awful lot of new lighting in this place in the little arena. So we have got a pretty cool disco kind of aesthetic going on. We've got the strobe ball at the top and we've got the little floor. And seeing as the new floors we've put in are actually in perfect sync with the actual light boxes, it does look like one continuous floor. The only thing left to do is actually make all the floorboards actually randomize in color, so that we have got different colors for the disco floor where people will stand and watch the bands. And it actually gives a really nice cool aesthetic. After that, we are going to be adding some pretty darn big flags and also some very big poster boards from Business Settlements 1.8 Standalone. This is the mod which adds loads of cool decorations to the game, and the cool thing I wanted to do with this was to kind of have like almost sponsorships of this venue. And then also, using the Homemaker mod, we're going to add these giant Institute foundations which will act as the main stage for the bands to work on. And it does actually have some stairs clipping into it, but I was able to disable those with the console command, but it does give us a very nice clean floor for this stage. We'll also put some track lights down which came from the Wasteland Workshop DLC expansion pack, along with some cool spotlights, and it actually looks really darn epic when you start to put all these lights in there. Also for the stage, we don't have any instruments in the game. Modders add some in, but I'm going to have a mixing table to act as a piano, along with a microphone, in order to decorate this stage. And here we go. We have got our stage fully working and ready to go. I was able to grab one of the Robo Brain drones, which you can get from the Automatron DLC, and have him kind of playing the piano just for a little comic effect, and I think that actually works quite well. It does kind of fit the aesthetic of the robots walking around, as well as it just looking a bit amusing if I'm completely honest. And there is an awful lot of staging area here, so that lots of people can be playing in the band if they want to, and we've got a huge spectator area for people to stand and watch. But we also need to decorate the outer parts of the place as well. We're going to be adding lots and lots of posters from the Contraptions Workshop in order to kind of give the place some life, and these posters do light up when you add some power conduits nearby, and they look really, really glorious when the lighting's all in there. And we're also going to add some benches from the Vault-Tec workshop. Unfortunately, all of my furniture isn't working right now. You know, I've definitely put too many new mods in there, and now I do not actually have a furniture tab. I need to fix that. But we do actually have enough from all of the DLCs in order to make the place work, including some kind of food area, as well as normal seating to get a bit closer to the band. We're also going to add some cool little flags around the place in order to give it a bit more life. And I really wanted to have these giant monitor displays. There are cameras sitting around the place just as part of the vanilla game, and I wanted to kind of do something with that, but unfortunately I really wanted to use these television screens, but when you actually scale them up to a huge size, it just doesn't really look right, unfortunately. I'm sure you'll see what I mean. The little screens kind of work, but unfortunately just the overall look of the thing when you actually make it big, as you can see here, it just doesn't really make much sense because there are a lot of actual seats around here, and these huge screens are actually blocking the view of the band. So in the end, I actually decided to get rid of that. It's very rare that I put something in a settlement and then decide it just doesn't work. Normally I've got a pretty good idea in my head, but in this case, it just didn't really look quite right, so I actually decided to scrap the idea of a giant television screens. The cameras instead are for recording, and that works as well. We're also going to add some more posters around to the ticket area using the Settlement Objects expansion pack again. We do need to make the ticket area look a bit cool because it is the first thing you see when you enter the building. So when you get in there, you've got lots of lights and lots of posters, maybe advertising new upcoming acts coming up, so that it kind of gives the place a little bit of life. And we also need to have it quite clean and tidy, so I put down some floor matting because the carpet is a bit decrepit unfortunately, along with some cool nukaworld-esque decorations to make you feel like you are really part of the galactic zone, just to give it a little bit of extra life. And it works pretty well once you also add a huge copious amount of lights as well. It definitely looks like an exciting venue to be in. So there we go, people. That has been me turning this place into a rock venue. It looked terrible at the start when you first walk in, but now it looks very open, very welcoming, full of colour and full of space, waiting for all the hundreds of spectators to come and watch whatever act is currently on. I really like the look of the glass. I think that is something that you would see in a kind of cool rock venue, so to speak, so that the people who are sitting down in the cheap seats, they are kept separate from the people who are having a hardcore mosh pit in the middle, right in front of the band. And whilst it normally sounds like a cop-out to not have as many pieces of furniture or not as many decorations, in this case I think it works well, because you would really need to have a lot of open space purely for the sake of health and safety if you're going to have a venue like this. So therefore having lots of space for people to walk around actually makes perfect sense. Not only that, but it also means more people are inside, more people are spending money on tickets, and more people are having a great time on their holiday in Nuka World. So now that that's all done, thanks very much for watching, guys. This has been the final render, and you have been watching Fallout 4 Building with Mods. As I actually said, this place is downloadable, so that you can actually now start to do your own buildings inside this venue. You can do any venue you want. That's the amazing thing about putting these places up for download, is that whilst I did a rock venue, you can do whatever you want. Your imagination is your only limitation. Or if you're like me and you actually didn't have any furniture to work with, but hey, there are ways to fix that, aren't there? So if you're new, remember to check out my previous video where I actually turned the Fizz Top Grill into a usable settlement, which you guys can also download. And if you aren't new, hope you enjoyed this video. This has been the final render and you have been the audience. And until next time, see you around.